You think you understand water, don't you? After all, you interact with it constantly. You turn on the tap, wash your face, and drink it. It feels wet. You've experienced that sensation your whole life, so you must know how it works, right? Okay, explain it to me. What actually happens when you touch water? What is wetness at its most basic level? Most people give a vague answer. They say it's a liquid state, or it's moisture. But here is the problem with those explanations. They don't actually answer the question. They simply put a new label on the mystery. The reality is much darker and far stranger than you realize. The feeling we call wetness does not exist anywhere in the physical universe. It is profoundly, unsettlingly weird. What you are truly feeling is a completely fabricated biological hallucination, a sensory trick manufactured by your brain to mask a violent, invisible electromagnetic collision occurring at the atomic scale. Today you will discover that you have never truly touched a single drop of water in your entire existence. This will shatter everything you assume about your daily reality. Let me show you what I mean. Walk into your bathroom right now. Turn on the faucet. Place your bare hand under the stream. The water splashes. It flows over your skin. You feel a distinct physical sensation. You call it wetness. You assume that wetness is just an inherent characteristic of the fluid itself. First, forget what you think you know. Think about it logically. If you isolate one single solitary water molecule in a perfect vacuum, is it wet? No. Wetness is not a state of matter. It is an event. It is a highly specific interaction between two completely different things. And to see that interaction, we have to shrink down, zoom in to the atomic level. H2O, two hydrogens attached to one oxygen. But they aren't arranged in a straight, boring line. They sit at a sharp angle, like a microscopic boomerang. Oxygen is incredibly greedy. It hogs all the negative electrons, pulling them away from the hydrogens. This leaves the oxygen side slightly negative and the hydrogen tips slightly positive. You don't just have a molecule, you have a lopsided invisible magnet, a dipole. So what happens when you put billions of these tiny magnets together in a glass? Chaos. The positive end of one water molecule violently snaps toward the negative end of another. They constantly lock, unlock, and twist around each other billions of times a second in a shifting, invisible grid. We call this electromagnetic clinging cohesion. Stop and think about that for a second. Go to your sink and fill a cup with water all the way to the very top. Keep adding drops, one by one. It doesn't spill over immediately. It rises up and forms a curved dome above the rim of the glass. Why? Because the water molecules at the very surface have no water above them, so they grip onto their neighbors below and to the sides with terrifying electromagnetic strength. They weave themselves into an invisible elastic trampoline, surface tension. So we know water magnets love to grab onto each other. But if they are so busy holding on to themselves, why do they stick to you? Because of what your body is made of. Your skin is built from complex proteins, cells, and biological polymers. And those molecules have their own slight electrical charges scattered all over them. When you plunge your bare hand into a bucket of water, you are invading that network of tiny magnets. The water molecules suddenly realize that your skin has electrical handles they can grab onto. The negative parts of the water snap onto the positive charges of your skin. This electromagnetic hijacking is called adhesion. The water is physically gripping you. But gripping is not the same thing as feeling wet. Let's make it worse. Go to your kitchen. Drop water onto a non-stick Teflon pan. What happens? It beads up into perfect little spheres and rolls right off. Why? Because Teflon is an electrically neutral polymer. It hides all its electrical charges perfectly. When the water magnets touch the pan, there are no handles for them to grab, so they just grab themselves and roll away. To a Teflon pan, water isn't wet at all. It is completely dry. Wetness only exists when water successfully grabs a charged surface. But even when it grabs your skin, your body has a massive biological flaw. Your body is a biological machine. It has nerves to feel heat, nerves to feel cold, nerves to feel physical pressure and pain. But human beings do not possess a single wetness receptor in their entire nervous system. You literally lack the biological hardware to feel wetness. When the water successfully snaps onto your skin, it conducts thermal energy away from your body incredibly fast. Your temperature nerves instantly scream, "We are losing heat." At the exact same time, the immense surface tension and adhesive grip of the water pull gently on your skin. Your pressure nerves scream, "Something heavy and elastic is pulling against us." Your brain receives these two completely separate electrical signals, and it has a problem. Your brain doesn't know quantum mechanics. It doesn't know what a dipole magnet is. So it runs a simulation. It takes the feeling of cold and the feeling of pressure, mashes them together, and synthesizes a brand new, entirely fake sensation. It invents the feeling of wet. You are experiencing a sensory illusion. The wetness doesn't exist in the water. It doesn't exist on your skin. It only exists inside your head. And if you want to make it even stranger, because of the fundamental laws of physics, you have never actually touched water in your entire life. Remember those electromagnetic forces? The electrons in the atoms of your skin violently repel the electrons in the water molecules. They mathematically refuse to overlap. When you dive into a swimming pool, you are not touching the liquid. You are hovering microscopic fractions of an inch away from it, separated by an invisible force field of electron repulsion. You trust your senses. You think the world is solid and liquids are wet. But the next time you stand in the rain, remember the truth. You are not experiencing the water. You are experiencing the violent, invisible electromagnetic forces of the universe pulling at the edges of your atoms, filtered through a brain that is desperate to make sense of the quantum chaos. You live in a universe of pure force, and wet is just the comfortable story your brain tells you to survive it.